Hi, my name is Mike Piacentini. These are the new MDR MV1 headphones. I've worked on the Chainsmokers record, Memories Do Not Open. It was nominated for the Best Immersive Audio Record in 2023 at the Grammys this past year. The MDR MV1s we developed with spatial audio mixing in mind. With the open back headphone design, the sounds I'm listening to in the studio translate to the pair of headphones I'm wearing. And working now in immersive audio with the MDR MV1s, I have a much easier time of saying, okay, I can pan objects and instruments above, behind, below me. I'm able to localize that data a lot more clearly. They're really sleek, comfortable, lightweight. I could wear these things for 5, 6, 8 hours at a stretch without really feeling like I'm wearing headphones. They come with a detachable cable as well as a 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch adapter. I can take these headphones and whatever my use case is for the day, I'm able to tackle that and do it with accuracy. Hands down better than anything I've listened to in the headphone environment. The MDR MV1s really make the record production process easier on my end.
It is dude, isn't it? Is this on? You guys ready to start? You guys want to jump on in? Let's just do it. Let's jump in. I feel like the music should stop, but I forgot this is a trade show and it doesn't. The din doesn't go anywhere. Well, thank you guys all for coming and being here to listen to this esteemed panel. We're here to talk about Sony VME. So let's dig in real quick. And first thing is let's get some introductions for you guys on the panel. You want to start? You want to introduce yourself? And we have one mic to share, so thank you.
So my name is Koyuru from Sony R&D. I've been working for Sony over 20 years, and I'm responsible for acoustic technology development, and currently I'm managing the BME development team. Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Massenburg, and I am an early adopter.
My name is George Massenburg, and
You're the one that got his badge this morning.
so you guys are going to have to pick which one's the real one. No, so happy to be here.
I'm Toru Nakagawa from R&D Sony, and I'm senior engineer, and I am VME tech leader.
Cool, thank you guys. And my name is Michael Romanowski, mastering engineer, and I get to moderate and ask these fine folks a bunch of great questions. This is really fun and cool because we have two practitioners and two technological people who designed this. So we get to talk, we're going to have a conversation a little bit about how this came to be, what was the inception, what was the plan, a little of the technology behind it, and is also then the experiential side of it is using it in practice. So this is going to be fun and interactive, and if you have questions along the way, we're going to do that too. We're going to make sure in case you guys have anything you want to know, we can also answer those. So let's start off first with what is VME and how did it come to be? How did you guys get into this?
The BME is a technology that reproduces the sound mixing studio acoustic on headphones with absolute precision. So it's a kind of a binaural technology, but it's really accurate. And so binaural technology utilizes the human hearing characteristics. And everyone has different human hearing characteristics. In BME, we capture your personalized profile at the reference studio. Then we create your personalized profile. Then you can download your profile and our application. And if you use our application, you can hear the sound, the virtually created space on your headphones. For example, on MV1. Yeah, that is our technology overview.
Do you want to add anything to that? Yeah.
Strong point is we developed original microphone to measure your personalized HRTF, and we also developed software for measurement and playback for measurement. It's much sound professional because we have a standalone app with 360 walk mix creator and Dolby Atmos render. We can work. This technology work as well. And finally, today you already saw MV1, MV1. This headphone is works well for VME too, because originally this headphone developed start from R&D, our team with Xiaomi-san, and after that we officially productized. And we are very happy to announce this headphone too.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the technology? So how did you? Oh, there's the headphones right there. So was this developed from WalkMix, or was this a separate? Here we go. Vanna White. So he said he was George Massenburg, but he's actually Vanna White. Anybody like to buy a vowel? Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the technology? So did it evolve from WalkMix, or can you talk about maybe the technology of trying to do localization, in a two-channel playback, and how does this differ for anything else, or how is this similar?
Okay. The biggest the biggest challenge for this technology was the reproduction of your center image in your front. For example, the sound is located in your left. The sound to your left ear is faster and louder than sound to your right ear, right? And these are the features to perceive the location of the sound. And everyone has those kind of features. But if the sound will shift to the center, so there's no time difference, level difference to both of your ears. right? And you only have the difference on frequency characteristics. So that's why it's very difficult to reproduce the sound on your front. And so in order to solve this problem, so we needed the very accurate measurement and accurate signal processing and accurate playback. So that's why we developed our own microphones and also the measurement system, and also finally the headphones. Yeah, that is the technology, the details of our technology, and the very challenging point.
So you can't measure, like the very first thing is, if you're going to be able to do this, you have to get good, accurate measurements of people's ears. So did you have to evolve technology? Was there existing technology, or what did you have to do to be able to really improve on the measurement of each individual's ear?
Yeah. So like I said, that for example, this is just a binaural technology, but so in order to solve this, so we need everything from hardware to software. Yeah, this is our strong point.
Well, how long you been doing this, and how long has this been in development?
Yes. For me, so for me, I've been working this technology over 20 years. Yeah, but for personalized HRTF personalization technology within 10 years with total.
10 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Anything you want to add technology-wise? You've been working on this for about 10 years.
Sorry.
You've been involved in this for a while. The evolution of this process for about 10 years. I couldn't hear.
15 years. 15 years.
15. Okay, 15. Okay, there you go. Cool. Well, let's see. Let's talk about let's talk about the process real quick, because then we get to the experiences. But the process, you want to talk about how you see this moving forward. So the idea, certainly measuring people's ears, but you want to talk about how this is implemented in a real world situation. So first, how does this come to be in use? Is it a plug-in? Is it a standalone? Is it a hardware device? Is it built into the headphones? I speak fast too. Sorry about that.
So customer journey is user call to the studio for scan, and the user go to the studio and scan and get the hearing profile, and after that studio will provide profile and software for playback. And if you, when user go back home, user already has Pro Tools or Cubase, whatever, but connect to standalone application with VME audio, like a virtual driver, same like Dolby Audio Bridge, and insert headphone, and that's it.
So does this work with different software? So as a plug-in goes, is this something that you can? Is it only for WalkMix at the moment? Is this? Can you integrate it into other DAWs? How is this implemented in a real-world working situation?
Yeah, so we already developed for example, VST plugin, and also AAX plugin for Pro Tools, and also we have a standalone application. Yeah, so you can connect your WalkMix to our plugin or application, a standalone application, to reproduce the binaural signal.
I saw it in process the other day. Got a chance to get my ears measured, and I have to say I'm a Nuendo user, and I see that it works really well in Nuendo right away. So I'm super happy about that. And you're a Nuendo user as well, right? Let's talk.
No. I was.
Pro Tools.
I was with Pro Tools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. I guess I thought you were.
Listen,
yeah.
we all have our, our foibles, So this is I'm just interested here. How many people know what the fuck we're talking about?
Yeah. Let's see some hands. Okay. Cool.
Oh, okay. How many of you have experienced Dolby Atmos? with speakers or the binaural headphones? And how about 360? 360. Okay, same hands.
Hopefully in this booth we see a lot of those hands, right?
So what we're talking about here is something that I think radically changes the game and changes the way you're going to experience immersive audio from now on. No longer are you relegated to going to a room with a bunch of speakers in it that have been specifically tuned, or barring that, being able to hear a really not great simulation in stereo with headphones. Today, and when this product is actually released out to the marketplace, for the first time, you're going to be able to, with no investment at all, other than in a pair of headphones, really. You're not going to have to buy a bunch of speakers. You're not going to need to go to a specific room. With your headphones, you're going to get the same experience that we get in the studio, but with a stereo headphone, but gives you.
We don't know that yet.
Well,
We're hoping.
I'm of the opinion, after checking it out, that I am convinced that this is a reality. And I'm convinced that we are going to enter a new phase in immersive audio. And I think this is going to be a very important thing for the future. Whoever's involved in it, I mean, this is a game changer. So.
Well, Frank, let's talk about that real quick. Between you and George both, I'd love to get your impressions. Talk about like the first time you experienced this. Was it? I know you went to you were in Tokyo and you got a chance to be at the laboratory and check it out. But you guys were also at Blackbird and did some measurements and some listening at Blackbird. You want to talk about how you your impressions?
Yeah, go ahead.
So
The other George.
where's Hiro? Hiro will remember that at Blackbird, you and Gus were setting up the system, and Frank played a mix and said, this isn't quite right. The back speaker is a dB off, and then you found it. But the fact that you're able to take great care with this setup is what's going to make it successful, I think.
Well, the customization is definitely, as I think, is something super impressive about it. Is that it's not just you're not locked into it. You've got some adjustments after the fact as well.
The fact that I'm listening on a pair of headphones and I'm saying the rear speaker is down a dB obviously means that I could hear the rear speaker, and I could tell that it wasn't up to par with what I knew the mix to be. That's how real this is. That's.
Before you even took a measurement.
Yeah.
You knew that had to be fixed.
Well, and when you take the measurement, one of the first things that happens is they burst you with pink noise. And you listen to it in the speaker and you hear it. Yeah, it sounds like pink noise coming from the center. But then you put the headphones on and they burst pink noise in the headphones. But God damn it, I swear it was coming from the center speaker. And I took the headphone off, and it was only in the headphone. And that was my first, in Tokyo, that was my, I was there in Japan recording, and I went to Sony, and they said, we've got this new technology we want you to listen to. And I heard it. One of the first things I did was call this guy, who's the world's biggest skeptic on anything.
He's like he's like Mikey. If he likes it, you know.
Yeah, some people call that asshole, but some people call it skeptical. And he's skeptical because he's not an asshole. And I called him and I said, you are not going to believe this. And within 3 or 4 months, we were back at Blackbird Studios in Nashville. And even from the time that I heard it in Japan until there, it had come so far. And anybody here today, I really suggest, if you do nothing else at this show, go over to the Sony booth in the back, have your ears tested, check this out. I have yet to send anybody over there who hasn't come back absolutely amazed. Again, we're talking pre-production. We don't know if when it gets out into the real world, all of this is going to hold up. But I am so excited about this, and I think you will be too once you get it.
You know what?
Say something?
Oh, sorry, real quick. I'll say one of the things that I thought was super important to your rear channel. The first thing I noticed right away was listening to it. You know, the hardest thing. So on a level plane, you know, on this plane is how our ears are most sensitive. Where we have a hard time localizing above and below, more so than we do like around us. When I heard the bottom speakers, the first thing when I was like, that's right here. That was what blew me away. Was I could actually localize the above and below so much better than ever before. I mean, it was just it blew me away that it was how well that worked.
There are a couple things at play here. One is that a few of us think that the basic RA360 speaker setup sounds better. It's in the right direction to have a even distance at various angles to the sources, that makes more sense for music playback. But going back, I was just mentioning that 15 years ago, we saw a demonstration at the CES show. Bob Ludwig, Elliot Shiner, I think Chuck was there. He's busy, and myself. And a system, the 5.1 system at CES, that the Smythe Brothers show. And it was the first time we heard a 5.1 that was based on real personal HRTF measurements, good measurements. Two things became immediately apparent. That what that did well was, I mean, it did a number of things well, but it did the center front image correctly. It didn't come from the middle of your head, it came from the front of your head. That's very hard to do. I don't need to tell you. That's very hard to do. So one of the first things we listened for in 360 VME is that center image. It was very good. And like Frank was saying, we would take the earphones off and we would hear a pretty convincing position from all the speakers. They worked very hard to get that right. And in fact, there may be more work to do, but these guys are sensitive to getting that right. And one thing that really impressed me is when I started working with this, my highest resolution masters were 96K. And I called my friend Gus and said, I need 96K. And Gus said, well, give me a weekend. No, I just told them. I told them. They worked a weekend to get me 96. And that's real responsiveness. And it works. I haven't really done a thorough evaluation. I didn't bring a mix, but I think it works. But I will let you know. But that's impressive. Uh-oh, Hiro's looking at his watch. I guess that means...
When I go into a new room, one of the first things I do is I play a song that I had mixed back 1998. It's James Taylor's Line 'Em Up. And I play the DVD, which was, again, a Sony issue. We did a 5.1 DSD DVD. And one of the things I'm most proud of on that record was the sound of the voice. And I use that because wherever I go, because the sound of James's voice is at this point embedded in my DNA. And wherever I go, I can tell if something's working right or not by the sound of James's voice. When we went to Blackbird Studios, I had the opportunity. Gus provided me with a copy of the album, and I was able to listen to James's voice. And one of the things that I noticed right away was in every immersive two-channel system I've ever heard, there's some kind of comb filtering going on. It could be small, it could be massive, but it never sounds right. It never sounds like the voice belongs in the center, because that's such a hard thing to do. You can have drums, you can have bass, you can have all these things that can get away with that, but not the human voice. And when I heard this the first time on that, I think it was a Friday, I said, this is amazing. James's voice sounds almost right. It was almost right. And I said to them, this is what I'm hearing. And I swear, the next day, we came in, they said, Frank, come on in, you got to hear this. I think we found the issue. And apart from the dB.5 on the right, but they found this issue with the center channel. And for the first time, I think ever in my life, I heard a voice inside a pair of headphones that wasn't coming from here, that wasn't coming from inside my head, but was right here where it's supposed to be. And I said, that's it. To me, this is, I don't know where we're going from here and how it's going to translate once we get it out there in the marketplace, but all I can tell you is I've heard something now that I didn't expect to hear. And I would say everybody to do themselves a favor to check this out.
You know, one thing I think is really interesting is that this is not format specific, so not necessarily Sony, not necessarily Dolby, not necessarily formats we have now, but potentially formats in the future, that it's customizable to the room and the speaker playback, and so you're not locked into necessarily, you can map different rooms and have different profiles.
Well, I have to tell you that I tried that with an Atmos Master. I tried playing it back and routing it, and I didn't really get it right. I didn't have the original Atmos speaker positions that I'd mixed in. That's a problem. But there's no reason why you couldn't do that. Sorry to promote. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that, is to monitor Atmos through this.
I think the key is really if you're measuring in a room that has the speaker setup, it's like you need the proper calibration in the room to get the proper mapping to do that. So once that's done, then it's the measuring and the software that allows you to have the different profiles, correct?
So I'll see you in May for more measurements.
There you go, the next room. Let's talk about the headphones for a moment. Are there anything specific about the headphones? I know you showed them, but do you have to have a particular pair, or can you use any headphones? There's only one pair ever. You have to have these right here. You can set up a schedule for them, and they'll be shipped to you.
So originally, before back to the go to the history, development history, VME start to develop. I think 2013, and 3 years. I take time 3 years for develop original microphone, and after that, I try to. We developed a playback software and a measurement software almost 5 years. Then finally, so in Sony, headphone, we are R&D guys, so we don't have any knowledge to for the headphone. But we know what kind of headphone suitable for this technology. We know. So point is first, it should be open back is better, because when we always such kind of these binaural technology, we need to convolve room acoustic, reverberation, and ear characteristics. So always should be ear and ear inside of ear and ear cup. Not disturb any reflection inside. So in that case, these binaural signal can direct to the ear and very clean. So that's why open back is best. And second is professional sound creator use every day, but every wearing situation is different. Sometimes long and sometimes short. So we try to stable for ear position and this between relation between ear position and headphone position. This is second point, and third is of course this is 223 gram, so very light, and sound creator can use long time in a day.
Yeah, let's pass them around. That's a good idea. Those are super light headphones. You kind of wonder if they're actually like there's any drivers in there.
May I add something?
Yeah, you want to talk about them, please?
The Tor mentioned about the stabilized the things, and so for this technology, the robust ear feeding is very important. And for example, if you mix the sound today, the sound is here, and the next day, the sound should be there, the exact same place, should be exact same place. If the sound, the position has changed, it's really bad for sound creators, right? And it's the robust ear feeding is very important. So, and thanks to Shiomi-san, we did that. The MV1 has a very robust ear feeding performance. And also, thinking about development of this kind of signal processing technology. So we usually use existing headphones, conventional headphones, and develop the signal processing separately. So, but this is the conventional approach. But we did not want to take conventional approach. Yeah, that's why. So because we needed the highest performance for this technology. Yeah, that's why we developed our headphones first. And yeah, the Sony can do that.
Yeah, having the headphones. So, so thinking about the headphones and use case scenarios, making them very light and having people, for one, maybe travel with them, and we'll come to that in a second. But the idea of, people who may have them on for a long time. So, what other uses do you see of this technology with these headphones? Music, film, games, industrial, anything else? I mean, do you have other use cases in mind that you're hoping people will adopt this technology?
Yeah, of course. No, we already provided our technology to internal Sony groups. So, for example, Sony Pictures.
Right.
Yeah, and
that was tested on the lot here, right? Too. Yeah.
Yeah,
in
and
LA.
Sony Pictures. Yeah, Sony Pictures has the reference sound mixing stage, and they currently utilizing our technology to create the sound for film remotely. And yeah, and of course we are this technology will useful for other area, where for example sound creation for gaming, and of course music.
Sony open back headphones?
No.
Do you see people using this as the consumers using this technology as well, or it seems like getting into the creators from the start, like looking at engineers and producers and people who are and artists who are creating the content? You have to go through the process of getting your ears measured and all of that. And so, do you see this moving on to consumers and consumers doing the same thing? Is this a chance to get this into the experiential side of things, not the creation side? Yeah, exactly. That's the second part. Exactly right. Yeah. Stand by while we translate. Should be like the little bars that come up and say, the station, hang on just 1 second, we'll be right back.
So, personally, I think this technology helped to younger generation, like a student or no money to make studio guy, and young generation also young generation has doesn't fix the workflow and such kind of young generation can can make the work process because sometimes this VME technology is very unique. Just headphone and simulates speaker experience. So sometimes such kind of legend. It is very difficult to change the way of work process. Some legend. Yeah,
I was, yeah. The technology is such that right now, some of this measurement software and so forth is with the technicians, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that within the very near future, we're going to be able to, even along with the headphone or something, have a couple of small mics that you just put in your ear. You connect it up to whatever software and allows you, the consumer, to put your own HRTF into this system, for example. No? Well,
I'm not so sure how that's going to work.
for me, it seems to me that technology keeps moving on, and what we didn't think possible just a few years ago will be actually surprises us at how quickly it comes. But at the very least, the more people that get their HRTFs and the more rooms we get into this system, the better it's going to be. And the fact that Sony is so involved in this aspect of it and really recreating something for everyone as opposed to professionals or what have you, I think is really going to make a big difference.
Let me say something. But this is the key. The most important thing is to retain some way to measure more people for cues, for spatial localization cues. And we've already seen that making an average HRTF does not work.
Right. Yeah.
So we look to Sony to figure out how to do this for many more people, how to get much better measurements for more people that aren't so expensive. So we trust Sony will do this.
Maybe there's a way to take the little the little wireless earbuds and put the microphone in them, or use the speaker as the microphone, so people are constantly having their ears measured while they're listening. And maybe that's how you get that out there.
Apple tried to do that with the earphone.
Oh, that didn't work? Oh, I didn't know they tried it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're discussing this is even remarkable, but the bottom line now is that all these things are on the horizon, and this really does change the nature of this whole immersive thing. The fact that 30 years ago, if you wanted to build a studio, okay, you would have to go in, buy a console, get your microphones, put all this stuff together, and for $500,000 to $1 million, you could build a studio. Then 15 years ago or 20 years ago, it went to, you bought yourself a DAW, you went into a room, and for 25 or 30 grand, you built yourself a studio. Now, with this system, I can conceive of, you can build your own studio for the price of the headphones and a computer. And that's it. Because I like to think that if I could start mixing with my room in the system, and then I say, okay, I've got this mix done, the hardest thing in immersive audio is being able to hear it in other rooms. Because there are very few Atmos or 360 rooms in the country, and even those that are supposed to be good rooms aren't necessarily that great. So what is it like when it's different with a stereo mix. You could send it to anybody with 2 speakers and it'd be fine. But that's been the really difficult part. Now imagine that, okay, I just finished this mix with my system. Now I want to hear what it sounds like at Blackbird. I just put in the Blackbird system, and now I see, oh, this is what it would sound like. And I could actually get an idea of how this sounds at different studios around the world. Say you have Abbey Road, okay? I want to hear what it sounds like in Studio 2. There you go, you put it in. As long as we have the numbers, we can do that. And so whether it's here today, all I'm looking for is a year, 2, 3 years down the road. This is a game changer, and this is something that we'll be thinking back a few years and saying, I remember when I first heard this.
You know, to your analogy of building a studio, the other side of that is that when you took your $500,000 and built a studio, you had to have real estate and the room. And then when you got your $25,000 system, you just had to have a room and a desk. You know, and now all you got to do is have a backpack. You can just show. Hey George, let's talk about like use case. What do you? So you move around a lot. Well, you guys both move around a lot, but you also teach, and you have such a huge history of teaching and bringing the next generation on. Do you see this as a
backing up a little?
Oh yeah, sorry.
The world is listening on earphones and earbuds. Make no mistake that the world is listening on earphones and earbuds, and we have to serve them. Because serving the market of people who are set up with 714 systems in their living room, that doesn't exist. Or it's so small that it's not important anymore. What's important is getting the idea mixed and having that for the future of playback as we improve playback and extend its reach. For me, I'm moving someplace where I've got a very good room, but I don't want to be there all the time. Those of you who do immersive know that there's a lot of prep work. Spend weeks of prep work for one day of mixing. Weeks of sorting out tracks and missing tracks and where's that fucking vocal? Weeks of preparation, and then to go into a studio to do that is a waste of money. That's a waste of money. A good studio.
Or like Recall, same thing.
So for me to be able to do the vast majority of the work at home in my studio, in stereo or in immersive, and then take that into a room and spend an hour refining the mix, that's the future. That's how we're going to make immersive better. Because to make immersive better, you do your part, but we as mixers have to do much better. We have to make better mix. You have to make better mixes. There.
That's a great point, is the idea of that how much work it takes to get prepped, to get ready for the session, and how much time and how much expense studio time is, that if that work can be done, then there's better work, more thorough work done before you go into a room so now you're better prepared, you're more ready to do the session, and then you can focus more on the actual task at hand, which is mixing, not data collection or file management.
Well, we give you what you need.
Do you guys, real quick, does anybody have any questions?
Me?
Yeah. And why don't you either shout really loud or come on up here.
Okay. My simple question is, how does this technology differ from the Edgar Schwery at Princeton, the Bach filtering algorithm that he has that cancels crosstalk? And then actually I have one other question. You mentioned this is mainly or solely for headphone use. What about for speakers?
Well, okay, so let's ask the technical guys. Do you want to talk about the algorithms, or how you're, anything that you can share, not proprietary information, but share about your perception? Here you go. I mean, your process about the calculations and how you're creating the algorithms.
So let me clarify your question. Is the first is the algorithm, and also you mentioned about the application to speakers, right? All right. And so our technology is very simple. So just a convolver, like Tor mentioned. And for example, this is the kind of binaural, just a binaural technology. So we utilize your human hearing characteristics. So just a convolving to this signal. And the point is we can do the very accurate measurement, accurate processing, accurate playback. That is the technology. That is our algorithm. So signal processing itself is very common. So coefficient is very special to customize to users.
My question is, you are familiar with Edgar Schweri's Bach band assembled crosstalk cancellation hierarchy filtering that was developed at Princeton many, many years ago? Yeah. So you are familiar. So this will cancel crosstalk out as effectively as the.
So we don't use the crosstalk cancellation. This is because this is a technology for headphones.
Thanks, Frank.
If we direct to apply to the. So if we direct to apply to the speakers, we need a crosstalk cancellation. Yeah.
Did that get your question? Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir. Head tracking. Good question.
So, we developed.
Whoever's knocking over there, I wish they'd let him in because that's getting kind of annoying.
Yeah, our team developed head tracking too, but for sound pressure, head tracking always like a gimmick because it's not personalized one. Maybe, for example, if we measure this direction and this direction, how to create between middle of two directions. It's maybe it's not real direction. If we measure all place and maybe 1,000 point of direction, it can be good for sound creator, but always another company did head tracking, but quality is bad. That's why we don't adapt to this virtual mixing environment.
So the original system, I'm here to give you my opinion. My opinion is head tracking is distracting. And to take the measurements for head tracking, this original Smythe Brothers system required 3 sets of measurements. So straight on, plus 30, minus 30, complete set of measurements that I don't want to know about. Every time I've been able to turn head tracking off, I'll turn it off. I wish I could turn it off on this mystery earbud I have in my pocket.
It's a little box.
Little white box. I wish I could turn it off because I don't like head tracking. I find it distracting and I find it broken.
Do you guys? Does anybody use head tracking for music? Does anybody like that? I mean, I feel like that's a simple question, but I'm getting no yeses out there. Is that a double? It's not a double negative kind of. Yeah, nobody's shaking their. Nobody's saying yes. Yeah, I'm with you, George. The head tracking thing with music is really distracting and kind of weird. And I would not. Yeah, I turn it off at every opportunity.
If it's done extraordinarily well. If I had a sample of Concertgebouw Hall that was taken into the Concertgebouw Hall, and I could experience the Concertgebouw Hall in Amsterdam with head tracking, I might turn it back on, maybe. But the measurements would have to be very good.
Maybe once the latency gets better, or maybe it's the lag time to be able to turn, like watching movies and things like that. To me, it kind of works, but the others, it doesn't quite do it. Hey, Tom. Okay. You know what? I was watching the last panel. It was really funny because Frank got up and walked over and said, "Come say hi to Donna." He's like, "Pardon me just a second. I'll be right back." And he just walks over. I love the casualness of this, and the fact that everybody here is friends and we all know each other and work together and interact. So this is it's nice to be back in person again. So welcome back, George. Tom Kenny. Did you go? Because you know what? I have a solution for you, and I want to talk to you about that afterward because I have the same, but this is a totally off-the-topic conversation. But I love that we're way off the topic, but again, I love the casualness of this. Do you guys want to talk about where you may be heading next with this? Like, is this a stepping stone to where you might be, now once you establish this? I will say something, too. I asked you a question. I'm actually going to make a comment. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting when I was over at the room checking this out a couple days ago was the idea of thinking about having my clients, when I'm working, measure their ears in my seat when they come to a session, and then when I leave, when they go and they're listening to a reference, they're still sitting in my seat listening to their reference at that point.
That's a great idea. And you do a mix, and you send it. You do a mix, you send them a mix, and it's the same thing that they've heard in your room.
So they're accustomed to the room, they're accustomed to the conversations, the whole process.
And they have confidence in the process. Yeah.
I think as a like getting into the consumer world, maybe building into the professional world, the reference world, the creative side.
Why are you asking him for his ideas? We can tell him what he needs.
We're doing that right now, actually. This is also an ideation session.
But yeah, the future is infinite.
Yeah. So what would you like to see? What do you guys? Can you talk about what's next, or where you might be trying to take this platform?
Yeah. So this technology utilized for Sony Pictures Entertainment first. So in a COVID, we learn a lot from film side, but music side, we don't. We already tested Battery Studio and Sony Music Japan, but we don't have many experience for music side. How to use this technology in music workflow. So please give us honest feedback, and we will update forever.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Like Toru mentioned, our the Sony Pictures, the BME has already utilized the Sony Pictures to create their movie, and mainly during pandemic, and I'm feeling the work style of sound creation is changing after pandemic. So maybe a hybrid or the remote work or something. And so I hope that BME would be helpful for such kind of new style of sound workflow. So that is my hope. I hope. And also, I'm really, so like we already discussed a little bit, so I'm really interested in educational area. Right?
That's what I was thinking, like with George, with you teaching, like you could remote teach, or you could do, you could help work with mixes or help instruct folks and
But when we do immersive presentations, they don't have to be in a studio. Now this is going to take some time for individualized HRTFs and to get everybody set up, but to be able to teach them immersive at a distance, this is the future. It's not going to happen right away, but it's the future.
It'd be interesting to see. So yes, as the future, as of streaming goes, integrating with other platforms that are handling streaming content, that they could put your plug-in on the backside of it, like Audio Movers or something like that. Like if, say, you're doing something like that remotely, to be able to get the hearing profile into, whether it's a mobile device or not, but at least get their hearing profile into something that is coming from, a presentation or a studio or a reference or things like that.
I have one good story. For today BME demo, we start to demo contents to work with Sony PlayStation guy. And my request is please make a channel check and immersive 5.1 channel. And he live in San Mateo in California. And he just sent audio mover binaural signal for me. And I listen remotely and I comment him, and he directly update more great contents, and finally just 1 hour session, but it's fixed. And I think this style of work style is work well.
Huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity.
Well, you know, it's a huge opportunity, but it starts with measurements, and it starts with getting it right. Because if you don't get the, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you can get great measurements and you can get accurate presentations, then it becomes an amazingly useful tool.
I mean, for us, the important thing should be that this is a tremendous market. The music business is like the tiniest pimple on the ass of an elephant. It's the tiniest pimple. Gaming business is huge. That's an important business. That's 1,000 times bigger than music. So we're happy to contribute, but don't look for us to come up with any money.
That's up to Tom. Yeah, I'll tell Pete on that. You guys, anybody else have any other questions? Any other what we are? Oh, okay, Pete. Nice to see. Oh, look at that. There we go.
Oh, I'm not sure oh, there it's on.
Yeah, we all have to go to the monitor
so
here.
you've been primarily talking about it from a production side. You mentioned the importance of the commercial side, but I think you also mentioned that it's specifically tailored to these headphones. Is there a future in which you can get your ears measured and it works with earbuds?
Yes, so one of the things is that the headphones are not necessary to have those specific headphones, and it seems it's the path is to get it toward consumers along the way. Start on the creation side of things. I'm kind of curious, like thinking blue sky kind of stuff. I'm wondering if like live music, if there's maybe clubs or things like that, like people could actually watch music or hear from, like they could be at the Fillmore, and hear a show at the Fillmore or something like that. They can't necessarily get out to. It opens up opportunities maybe for, let's say a band is tracking and they're doing a live show out of Abbey Road, or, in the tracking room, not the control room, but you're in that room, and now people can check in and live stream, and there's revenue there. Back to, ways bands can make money by doing live and be in the studio with them. So maybe there's, other opportunities moving forward. So Pete, maybe I don't know if that's your question. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other comments? Yeah, opportunities. Like, we're just scratching the surface with all this. Like, this is all, we're toddlers still running around the field. So we'll get there. And this is a great step along the way. And I think you guys have done an amazing job. And so you guys, Hiro, thank you guys so much for all the work you put into this this program. And thanks for bringing us into this. And I look forward to the development as it moves forward. Thank you guys. Anybody, any last